Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mary and I'm so excited for you to be here with me today. If you want to see this full face, go ahead and check out my previous video using all Malibu Glitz products. Now, let's go ahead, wash this makeup off, and put on a brand new face. Hello everybody, we are back for our next brand new face video. I am so excited for this video. I'm just gonna go ahead and introduce the brand here right away. This brand is called Hard Candy. Now we've got essentially a full face. I think we've got 14 products here sitting in front of us. The only thing that I did not find with this brand was a lip liner. But other than that, we've got everything here. Foundation, concealers, primers, eyeshadow, everything. So we're just gonna go ahead and get started right away. And we're just gonna do things like we usually do. We're gonna start by priming the eyes here. So I'm gonna grab the concealer. This is called the Glamouflage Pro Full Coverage Concealer. So here's what that looks like. And when opening it up here, it's got one of those larger doe foots. It's kind of a different shape where it's rounded. And kind of has an interesting curve to it. So let's go ahead, and the shade that I got, I think I got their lightest one. I got 1970 Ivory. All right, so I'm just gonna dab this on the eyes, and then I'm gonna use a dampened blender to blend that on out. Alright, so that concealer is applied, and looking at it here in my mirrors, it states that it's full coverage. I mean, it definitely does a little bit of covering here. I don't know if it's full coverage because I don't know, I think it just kind of faded away a little bit here. So I did end up putting those initial amounts that I did, and then I blended that out and put more on top just to see if that would build up a little bit. The coverage I don't think is claiming to be full coverage, but maybe it'll still be a fine eye base here, and it may even still work as a fine concealer, but that's just how it's applying here so far. Let's go ahead and introduce the palette. Now, Hard Candy had a couple of options for palettes, but for some reason I was gravitated towards this specific one, probably just because of the very sparkly green there in the center, so we may try to use that. And then after purchasing it, I was actually very interested. So this one is a hemp infused eyeshadow palette. So that's very interesting. So the names on the back here are a lot of fun. So as I apply these, I'll make sure to state the names and stuff. The palette is called the Smoke Out palette. So here's what that looks like. I'll open it up for you guys so you can really see. It does come with brushes here, but we likely won't even use those. I'll just use my own brushes. But yeah, we're going to try to use that very sparkly pressed glitter there in the middle. Don't know if I'll use the pressed brown one here. I'm not sure if these side ones here are intended to be like highlighters and bronzers. I'm not going to use them for that purpose. I'm probably going to use this guy as my transition shade and go from there. So I'm going to grab a brush here. This is the M573 brush. And I'm going to dip into this shade here first, and that one is called Hash. And we will just apply this like we usually do, kind of just in the crease as a transition shade. All right, so we've got that first shade applied. It's kind of subtle, but even at the same time, like when I first started applying it, like it's got a good color, and I think what's happening is maybe it's like subtling as I blend it out more. So maybe I just need to not mess with it too much. But I really do like the initial color of it here, and I was very shocked when I first started going in on this side that I could see it right away. So yeah, that's how that's looking so far here on the eyes. Let's go ahead and deepen things up. So the next darkest color would probably be this one. I'm not too sure how I feel on that color. Maybe what I'll do here, because I definitely want to use this like more green color up here. Maybe I'll bounce between the two. I'm not sure what that's gonna turn out, and try to use that to deepen things up a little bit. So this kind of cool gray color here, that one's called Stoned. And then this green one up here, that one is called Baked. So I'm just gonna use the same brush here. I'm gonna try bouncing between the two of them. And let's just try to darken things a little bit with that. Okay, I've got that sort of applied. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. These are definitely not colors that I'm super familiar with. I know that it's a common thing that people don't typically make a lot of green eye looks. So definitely a little bit of a challenge there. Hoping we'll still be able to turn it around, but I think they're blending okay. I'm just not used to this color, and I don't think it's quite showing up as dark as I want it to right out here still. But we can still try and correct that. I think what I'll actually end up here doing now is I'm gonna set my brush down and then just dipping into that baked color, seeing if I can just deepen out that outer corner a little bit that way. The color definitely shows up a lot more pigmented here when I'm using my finger. So I've got that applied. I'm gonna kind of quickly blend it with the brush here again, in case there's anything harsh. But I like that a little bit more so far. And then next, I really like this color. Looks so fun right here. This one is called Kush. That one's really fun. There's this really interesting one up here with just a lot of different colors in it. That one's called Hazed. This gold looks pretty too. I think like all of them kind of tie sort of similar. I think what I'm going to start with is I'm going to take this one called Blunt here, and that's going to kind of be the inner third color. I'm going to try using a brush first. I have a feeling that using our finger is going to work a little bit better, but we'll use a brush here first. This is an M321 brush. Let's go ahead, dip in there. Yeah, it's definitely kind of powdery, so I have a feeling that using our finger, it might press on a little bit better. Yeah, so not sure if you can see how well you can see that on camera, so I am just going to grab my finger and see if we can intensify that just a little bit more here in the inner third. Okay, we'll probably come back and touch that up a little bit, but next, I'm gonna do a swatch here real quick because I'm not sure how different these two, I'm not sure how different this shade and this shade here will end up looking. So I'm gonna swatch them real quick on my arm. So here are those swatches. So the one here that's a lot more like vibrant green, that is this guy right here called Kush. And the one that's showing up a little bit more like with a gold reflex in it, that's the one up here that has all these other like sparkles in it. Essentially, that one's called Hazed. I think Hazed is going to be the one that we're going to end up going with. There's a chance we might want to make things a little bit more green, and maybe we'll use that one still, but I'm going to start with Hazed. I'm going to just take my finger, dip on in there, and apply this to the center. All right, and then I'm gonna grab that gold color again called Blunt and see if we can bring that gold back a little bit more. Okay, and I do want to deepen things out a little bit on the end here. So typically I'd want a matte shade, but there is this dark green one here. That one's called Smokin' right there. Sorry, you can't see, my fingers are all in the way, right there. That one's called Smokin'. And I'm just going to use my finger and I'm going to try to use that to deepen things out a little bit more out here. And then I'm just going to take the brush that we attempted using the gold with, just going to kind of wipe off that and then just to try to perfect it a little bit more. All right, and then what I'll do is I'm gonna go back to our first brush, that M573, dip into that matte green shade here. Try to bring a little bit of that back. And then using that same brush, we're gonna try to bring a little bit of that transition shade back as well. Okay, so I'll come close. Here is what the eye look is looking like so far. Again, they're not colors I'm familiar with, but I mean, maybe just because everything is really shiny. I'm getting distracted by it, but I think it's a pretty good lay down. We could definitely leave it like this if we wanted, but I do want to try and use that pressed green glitter in here. So not sure how much that's going to cover, or if it's just going to kind of add a little bit of sparkle, and also really not sure if it's going to like fall out on the face or anything like that. We're not using anything like a glitter adhesive or anything, so we're going to go into it. This one is called Blitzed. I'm just going to take my finger, I'm going to start very softly, and we'll just take our time kind of building that up. All right, so I've got those glitters applied. I brought a mirror here closer so I could see a little closer here. So it does definitely have some follow-up. I've got a lot of glitter on my face here right now. I do think I liked it better prior to us adding the glitter. The glitter just is a little on the chunkier side. It kind of just feels like, it almost to me just looks like craft glitter rather than more defined glitters for the eye. So I do think it took away a lot of that like really cool color that we had right in the middle there. But things are still looking pretty nice here so far. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a wipe here. We're gonna try to pick up some of the glitter on our face here, sharpen up the edges a little bit. Okay, so we've got the fallout sort of cleaned up. I already can see more of it falling as we go, and the wipe isn't quite picking all of it up, so we'll try to cover up some of that glitter with our foundation. But let's go ahead and keep working on the eyes here. I'm going to grab the next product, which is the eyeliner. This is the Hard Candy Stroke of Gorgeous Color Liquid Eyeliner. So I think they have several colors, but I just went with their black option. And if we open it up here, I think it just pulls, yep. It is a felt tip applicator. So let's go ahead and line our upper lash line here with it. There is the eyeliner. It applied really nice. The felt tip applicator is nice and soft, so it felt really good applying. It's not as black as some eyeliners, but it did a fine job. I'm not mad about that. So let's go ahead and keep moving on then. So the next product here is going to be our mascara. This is the Dare to Extend Ultimate Lash Extensions Mascara. So it sounds lengthening, so let's go ahead, curl our lashes, and give this a try. So we are curled. Let's open this guy up. Okay. So it looks like there's a lot of product on there. The bristles are fairly separated. It's a kind of like the rubber silicone type applicator. So let's go ahead and apply this on our eyelashes. All right, we've got the mascara applied. Hopefully you guys can sort of see that. It's very liquidy, so it's a little messy, and especially with the little bristles being kind of separated, definitely a lot of product on the little applicator. As for lengthening, maybe I'm just too picky, but no, I don't think this really claims to be as lengthening as I think it's trying to be. So it's very black. It applied decently. I don't think I'm a fan of how separated those little bristles on it are. So, but it's fine. You can tell that the lashes are coated there. So let's set that down for now and we'll keep moving on to the face. Now for the next product, we have a primer. This is the Hard Candy Long Wear Primer. It says it's 12-hour wear, extends and sets makeup. So we're not going to be doing like a full wear test or anything like that with the makeup or anything, but if it feels nice and it claims to be long wearing, like that's super exciting. So opening it up here, it's got like a little tube. I'm going to just squeeze a little bit out on my hand. It's got like a peach kind of tint to it. So yeah, not sure if I just applied here too much to my hands, but let's go ahead, just use that and destroy the hair. Just kind of apply that all over the face. All right, so we've got that applied now, and it had an interesting feeling to it. A lot of these types of primers, they have almost like a slip to them, but this one has like a different feeling, not necessarily like a gripping feeling, but like a little bit of a tugging where like my fingers don't glide as if it was really slick. Yeah, so I'm not necessarily gripping, but, or sorry, not necessarily, I don't quite remember how I was saying that, but it doesn't quite have a slip, which is just interesting. So I don't know if that'll make the foundation stick differently to it, but I mean, it feels nice. It doesn't really do any like correcting or pore filling necessarily. I think it is just intended to boost the longevity of your makeup wear. So I'm gonna put the lid on that and we are going to introduce the next product, which is the foundation. So this is the Glamouflage Full Coverage Foundation. I decided to get the shade 1503 Linen. So hopefully this is a decent shade match. I think I only picked up one, so this will have to work. Let's go ahead and open it up. Okay, it's got a similar doe foot type applicator to the concealer. I think it's honestly the same size, it's just a larger bottle. Interesting. So let's go ahead, we'll dab a little bit of this on our face and we'll use that dampened blender to blend everything out. So we have the foundation applied here now. Here's what that's looking like. I like the finish. I like the coverage of it. I would say it's medium, maybe close to a full coverage here. It did a pretty good job covering up some of the acne spots that I have. I might just dip over them a little bit to see if they do more covering, but like, I don't even know if you can really see that, but I've got a little bit of redness going on there in some spots. Maybe you can cover them up a bit more. A little bit. I wouldn't say it's like super buildable, but I mean, yeah. I probably could have opted for a slightly lighter shade, but still this one is usable, not bad at all. Something I noticed when blending it out here, I couldn't tell, I felt like a stickiness and I'm like, did the primer like activate and is it sticky now? But I do think it's just the foundation has a little bit of a stick to it, so I do think that that'll need to be set down. I think that's looking pretty good so far. Let's go ahead and close that up and put on a little bit of concealer. So grabbing that same concealer from before and putting a little bit of this. I feel like there's a hair on my nose. There it was. Putting a little bit of this concealer under the eye. And we'll just blend that up with the sponge. Alrighty, so there is the concealer applied. It definitely did help with brightening, maybe just because the shades were a lot different from each other. I think it did a better job on the face here for concealing and things like that versus how it first applied for the eye. I don't know. I didn't see it as really covering or applying any like concealing when putting it on the eye. I don't know, but it definitely did brighten. Maybe it's not concealing, or maybe that like it's not as bright as maybe an ivory or like this should be. Like I'm trying to think back on some of the other like really full coverage concealers that I have, like the e.l.f. one that we use, which is super full coverage. Like as you blend it out, like none of that like color even goes away. So I think it's still fine. I just maybe not as full coverage, but still did a good job with brightening, which is what we were wanting. So let's go ahead. This definitely needs to be set down. So I'm gonna grab a dry blender here, and we're gonna do a little bit of like a baking with it and pressing it under the eyes here, and then we'll take a brush and kind of blend that out. So the powder right here, this is called the Hard Candy Translucent Sheer Envy Loose Powder, and it says it's shine free. So I think it's gonna be making things a little bit more mattified. So let's go ahead, open that up. I've already gone ahead and peeled back some of the little layer there, and I'm just gonna dip some of this into the lid. And then taking, let's use the tip on here. We're gonna dip that in there and press this in underneath the eyes. I don't always like to do this because sometimes it does just look really drying on my eyes, but with this being a little bit more of a sticky consistency with the foundation, I thought maybe I'd give it a go. And I'm not putting it too heavy on like we're baking and needing to brush away. We will still brush it away, but like I'm not going that heavy with it. Right, and then we'll just kind of get in the cracks of the nose. Okay, and then I will take a brush here. Let's go ahead and use Sonia brush here, and we will swirl in there, make a mess, and just kind of buff this all over the rest of the face and kind of pull off any of that excess that we have. Okay. It is definitely mattifying, definitely tight on the skin. It took away that tackiness for sure. Yeah. So it definitely set things down. It definitely, you can feel it on the face, like I said, a little bit drying. But that's okay. Maybe that'll go away, that'll settle down. Or when we put our setting spray on at the end, maybe that'll kind of help bring some moisture back to the skin here. But here's the face so far. Let's go ahead and put the lid back on here. And what should we do next? Let's go ahead and introduce the bronzer. So this is the Hard Candy Dust Glow Matte Bronzer. I believe in the shade Mango Butter. So opening it up, here's what that looks like. Let's go ahead and grab one of our e.l.f. Ultimate Blending brushes, and we'll just kind of go in there and just bronze up the face. we've got the bronzer applied. I might intensify it a little bit more here after we've applied our like blush and highlighter, but I really like how that looks. I like the shade. I think it's a little bit different than some of the other bronzer colors that I have. It's very subtle, but still also buildable. Yeah, so I'm really liking how that's looking on the face here so far. So that's super exciting. I'll go ahead and set that down. We'll move on to the next product, which is the Hard Candy Silk Blush. Also says mango butter. Oh, plus mango butter. It has mango butter in it. So the bronzer is actually in the shade Maui Matte, and the blush is in Cheek Me Out. So opening this one up, here's what that looks like. Very fun. I'll go ahead and grab a e.l.f. angled blush brush. We will dip on in and apply this to our cheeks. Alright, that blush is applied. Definitely has some pigment to it. I thought maybe it'd be similar to the bronzer where we'd really need to kind of go over a couple times and build it up, but that's not the case, especially with this specific one, where it has some pigment to it, but it's beautiful. So I'm going to quickly take my sponge and just kind of go over top to make sure it's nice and not subtle. Just blending in nicely. So quickly dabbing over everything there. Yeah, I think that's looking real nice on the face. All right, and then we will grab the highlighter. So the highlighter is called the Hard Candy Rose Gold Highlighter in the shade Rose Gold. And when opening it up here, it's divided kind of into 3 sections where there's like this deeper gold over here. We've got this more pinky color out here, and then this nice like very white color out here. So I probably won't focus too much on this darker one, but I'll probably take my brush and kind of blend between the 2 pinky and the white one out here and apply this to our, apply this to the tops of our cheekbones. I'm gonna we'll use this Sonia brush. This is just one of their face brushes. Kind of swivel in there and apply. Okay, we've got that applied. Not sure how well you'll see that, but it is beautiful. I remembered purchasing this and like being so excited to be able to use it. So very happy that it's turning out the way that it is. It's got a little bit of like a very fine glitter to it, but it definitely is. It does what a highlighter is supposed to do, and it's beautiful. So I'm gonna quickly take a little bit of that and put it in our inner corner. Probably just focusing on this lightest one here. Ooh, it is soft. Beautiful. Okay, very excited about that. All right, let's go ahead and finish up our eye here. So I'm gonna bring the palette back out and see what we want to do. I'll probably start with our original brush here. I'm gonna clean off what's on there and grab that first shade here called Hash and just kind of pinch my brush and apply that all along the lower lash line. Right, and then next I'm going to take our M321 brush, dip into that matte green up here called Baked, and apply that kind of towards the outer corner of the lower lash line, blending those in together and connecting to the top shadows. Let's go ahead, we'll grab a new one here, a new shadow. This one's called burnt right there in the middle. I'll just use the same brush here. We'll kind of apply that in the center area. All right, and then lastly, I'm going to take this shade right here called Puff, and I think using the same brush. We might end up using our finger. We'll dip in there and kind of connect the front, the inner corner or inner third of the lower lash line. There we go. So there is the lower lash line. I like that. I didn't know what I'd think of that color that we used right there for the center, but I like it. It's very exciting. Let's go ahead and finish up the lower lash line and put on a little bit of the mascara. All right, so I've got the mascara applied on the lower lash there. I did a decent job. I thought I would be a little bit more messy, but I tried to be really careful. So it looks fine, honestly, on the lower lash lines. But again, it is just a very liquidy mascara. So you do have to be careful with that. So yeah, there's the eyes. I'm shockingly impressed with how they're looking. So let's go ahead and keep moving. I think, let me just kind of rearrange here real quick. Oh, brows. Always almost forget about brows. Let's go ahead and take the brow product here. This is there's two brow products. The first one here is the Hard Candy Brow Now. It's a gel pomade brow pencil. So it's got an interesting like soft brush here on the top. So we'll use that. And then also the product here, it's kind of in that like triangle teardrop type shape. So, and the shade I got mine in was light medium. I'm still going to use a spoolie here to first initially comb through the brows, but when we're blending the product, I think I'll just use the little applicator that comes on the brow product. All right, so there are the brows. I don't think they're very even. This one is looking a little crazy, I think. So that's all right. But that product was fine. I'm not always the biggest fan of these like triangle shaped applicators, but still it applied just fine. The shade is fine. And the brush is interesting. Maybe I'm just not used to it. But I mean, the product is soft enough that I don't know, having a soft brush like this, what it does or doesn't do, but yeah, the shade looks pretty fine. I'm gonna go ahead and use the next product here. This is the Hard Candy Brows Now. It's a fiber brow gel, and I think this one's just clear. We'll find out. So opening it up. Oh no, this one has a little bit of a tint. It's got fibers in it. I'm not crazy about fiber products, but we'll apply it and we'll see what we think. All right, so I applied that fiber gel. I think it darkened things up a little bit here. I don't think it says here on there what the shade is. I likely got the blonde one, but I guess I'm not too sure. So it did darken things, did feather them out a little bit. So there's that. I'm just very much distracted by, I think they're not very even, but we'll just keep going. Let's go ahead and move on to the next product, which are the lips. So for lips, I got the Hard Candy Syrup Kiss Lip Stain. So here's what that looks like. And we'll open it up. Ooh. And I should tell you the shade. The shade I got was 1767 Makeout Mauve. Here's what the applicator looks like. And let's just go ahead and apply this to our lips. All right, here is that lip color. It's very juicy and has a flavor to it. So I like how that's looking. I like the juiciness of it. So there's that. Very exciting. Let's go ahead and finish things off, I believe. Yes, let's go ahead and use our last product here, which is the setting spray. This is the Hard Candy Sheer Envy Longwear Setting Spray. And let's go ahead and open it up. Here's what that looks like. Let's go ahead and give it a Mr. test. It might be a little bit aggressive. Has kind of a cucumber smell, so let's go ahead. We'll kind of keep it far back here, and we will set our face. The sprayer was a little bit aggressive, but also at the same time, I don't think it left very many like harsh droplets on my face, so we'll just let that dry down a little bit here, and then I will just take my sponge just real quick in case there are any little spots. So this is our full face. That's all the products. What do you guys think? Let me know. So let's go ahead and get things cleaned up, and we will start to talk about the products individually. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started on talking about the products individually and the price of this overall face. So again, here's our face. Now I did have to take a quick little break here to charge the battery up, so it's been about half an hour that the makeup's been sitting on the face here, so I don't think too much has budged. I did have to reapply a little bit of lip because I had some food, but other than that, everything else is looking pretty good here still. Our overall face cost is $86.93. And now looking at that price and the products here in front of me, overall, I'm really happy with that price. We got a full face. We're under $100. Most of the products ranged around $5, at most $9, so not bad at all. I believe this brand was only available at Walmart, which is, for me personally, a little bit of a downfall. I don't do a lot of Walmart shopping, so if I do end up liking some of these products, I will have to specifically go to Walmart to get them. They do also have a website, I guess, so you can order the stuff online as well. So if you have a Walmart nearby and you're interested in these products, you can definitely look them up, but they also do have a website as well. So yeah, I'm happy with that price, and it's really awesome that we were able to get a full face here, so that's very exciting. So let's start talking about the products here individually. So the first thing we used was that concealer. Now, this was a fine concealer. Looking at it, it says that it's full coverage, and comparing it to other full coverage concealers that I have, I don't think it quite compares in that way. When we used to conceal like under our eyes and after we applied our foundation, I think it did a good job brightening. Maybe a decent job concealing at that time since there was foundation there. But I guess just as an eye base, it didn't shock me too much, but that's okay. Concealer's not always best to be an eye base. So it is a fine product. However, just me thinking back on other full coverage concealers that I have, I just don't think this is going to be one that I'm going to grab towards often. So this one is going to be a no for me. And then next we hopped into the eyeshadow palette. So this guy right here, the Smoke Out eyeshadow palette. And I was very happy with this. This is definitely a palette, this specific one here, of colors I don't have a lot of in my collection already. And greens can kind of be a scary thing to create an eye look with sometimes, but honestly, I think this looks pretty good. The one thing about it that I was like the most excited for was this shadow here in the middle called Blitzed. I was really hoping that that would be a really great pressed glitter. However, I do think I liked the shadows prior to putting that on. It is a little bit of a messier, chunkier glitter than I prefer. So not the biggest fan of that, so I probably won't use that guy there. And in addition, I won't use this one here either probably. But the greens are nice. So I'm happy with the look that we came up with, and I'm shocked that I'm shocked that I like how it looks, because it's sometimes really scary to do green eye looks. So this palette is definitely going to be a yes. Alright, and then the next product we jumped into was the eyeliner, so this guy right here. Now, I'm probably going to hang on to this. I'm going to say it's a yes. However, it's definitely not like the darkest of eyeliners. But the applicator was really nice. It was soft to apply, quick to apply. I guess it did what an eyeliner does. As to one that I'll reach for often, maybe. I guess I'm not too sure. So the biggest thing that I really enjoyed about it is how soft that applicator was and how easy it was to apply. And I am curious to know how good of detail I might be able to get with it if I want to attempt a wing or something like that. So I am going to say yes to this guy for now. And then next we applied the mascara. Now this mascara is going to be a no. It claims to be the ultimate lash extensions mascara, so to me that sounds like it's supposed to be lengthening or have the appearance of lengthening, and I didn't really get that. I do think it looks, versus top and bottom, I think it looks nicer on the bottom here, but it is a messier, thinner mascara, so it can be a little tricky to apply, and I'm not a big fan of how separated out the little bristles on the applicator are. So I'm not going to get much use out of this one, so this one is going to be a no. And then we moved on to the face. Yes, so the next product here is our primer. This is a 12-hour wear primer. I'm happy with how it worked. I mean, again, it's not necessarily pore filling. There are some spots here around my nose that are definitely, you can sort of see the craters. So it didn't do much of smoothing, but I am curious to find out how long wearing it actually is. So I will be holding on to this one and trying it out for longer worn makeup looks. And yeah, I was just very interested in the texture that it had. So I think the makeup is laying over top of it fairly nicely. I do think that possibly combined with other primers, something pore filling, it might be a very good primer. So this is a yes. Then we applied the foundation. This is also going to be a yes as well. It's definitely on the medium, closer to fuller coverage, I would say, for a foundation. So that's very nice. I liked the way it applied and the sheen that it has. The finish, I like the finish that it has. It is a little sticky, so it does need to be set down. But yeah, I really like how it's looking on the face here. Even though the shade might be a touch dark for me, it is a usable shade. So yeah, that guy's a yes. Then we set the face down. We used the translucent powder here. Now, I might hold on to this one for a little bit to compare it to other ones that I have. I don't know if just doing a regular daily makeup look, if it's going to be one that I reach towards frequently, because it is on the heavier side. After stopping the recording here for a little bit and taking a look, it definitely is a little heavy in certain areas, and that might be because of the way I applied it. I decided to kind of press it in with a sponge instead of softly buffing it in with a brush instead. So if that's the case, maybe I wouldn't use that type of application going forward. I do think it might be a good setting powder for like days where you really want the makeup to sit. You really want to have that heavy full coverage. Maybe this will be good for that. But also at the same time, I'm not sure. So I do need to kind of compare this one a little bit and see where it sits in my collection. So it is a yes for now. However, with that, it's not necessarily a favorite. So that's that. And then we went ahead and we bronzed the face. Now this bronzer is a definite yes. I'm really happy how this looks on the face. I like the color. I like the build that it has. Yeah, it laid down really nicely. So definitely a yes. So very excited about that. And then we applied the blush. The blush is also going to be a yes. It's a more of a corally color, and I've got a couple of them similar like this in my collection, but I'm happy to kind of grow this kind of color. It's not one that I use frequently. Definitely has a lot of pigment, so you have to go with caution if you want to kind of build that a little bit. But yeah, this was very exciting as well. And then next we applied the highlighter. This guy is a definite yes as well. I was really happy with how that laid on the face here. Has a little bit of like glitz to it, but at the same time it has like that pearly glow that a highlighter should have, or that I look for in a highlighter. So very excited about this. Definitely a yes. Then we did our brows. Yes, so next is the brows. So for the pomade pencil here, I like the color. I'm not a fan of that like triangle shaped tip. So I'm similar to like, I think the powder, I might hold on to this one and kind of see where it fits in the collection because I do like the color. I don't think I'll get much use of this little brush at the end. Maybe I'm just not familiar with it, but I do prefer taking a brow spoolie and just combing through the brows that way to disperse the product. This is just a little unfamiliar for me, I guess. So I'm gonna say yes for now on this one, but similar, I definitely do have other brow products I prefer a little bit more. And then for the brow gel, this guy, I don't think I'm gonna hang on to it. It is a fiber gel, which I'm not the biggest fan of fibers. And then also, like, it doesn't say the color on here, and I don't have the, oh, it does. It's at the top. It says medium light. So this is supposed to be the one that matches with the pomade pencil, but definitely darken things kind of weirdly. And I'm not crazy about the fibers in it, so I'm not gonna get any use out of this guy, so it's gonna be a no. And then we move on to the lips. This guy is a yes as well. I was very excited about this. First applying it down, it's very juicy. You can kind of build the pigment up where you want. You could go really thin and just have it kind of look glossy, or you can go nice and thick and juicy and have that color really show through. It has a good flavor to it, which is, it's a minor thing, but that is something about it. So this specific color is really nice. I like the juiciness of it. And then even after wearing it here for a little bit, and I did apply a touch more before I recorded here again, it dries down decently. It has a little bit of a stick, but it's not slippy and it's not gonna move anywhere, and it still shows just a little juicy, which is really cool. So I'm excited about this one. I might need to take a look at some of the other colors that they have because this is a really cool formula. So this is a yes. And then the last product here was the setting spray. Now, I'm also going to say yes. It's supposed to be another one of those long wearing ones, so I do want to try to test that out and see how long my makeup will hold up using this setting spray. The mister was fine. It wasn't like super smooth, but also at the same time, it did disperse the product on my face decently without leaving any too harsh little droplets on the face. So yeah, I'm excited to try this one on a little bit more and see what else I think of it. So it will also be a yes. And yeah, that's all of our products. We ended up not holding on to 3 of them out of the, I believe, 14. Yeah. So 3 out of 14 that we're not going to be hanging on to. I think that is honestly pretty darn good. So again, I'm pretty excited about that price range. It's nice that these are available at Walmart's if you are somebody who shops at Walmart's, and at the same time you can get these on their website as well. I'll always leave that down below in the description if you're interested in checking out their website. So yeah, I'm so happy with how this face turned out. That's gonna be everything for this video. If you did enjoy it, give it a big thumbs up and I would greatly appreciate it. And if you wanna be notified of the next time I post, go ahead and hit that notification bell so you can be notified. And next, if there are any of these hard candy products that you did not see me put to the test, go ahead and leave that in the comments down below, and I'd love to try and get my hands on it for you and test it out. Also, if you'd like to see any of these hard candy products put to a full wear test, go ahead and leave that in the comments down below as well, and I'd love to try to make that happen for you. Lastly, if you have any brand recommendations, leave that in the comments down below as well, and I'd love to add it to the list of so many brands. That's going to be everything for this video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye!